If Senator Lacson would just say that he doesn't want to be interpolated, that will be okay with me. But he should not make a precondition that his unwillingness is conditioned upon whether or not the partial report should be signed by the majority. This is very unusual, Mr. President.
Yes, we respect your opinion.
And because he doesn't want to be interpolated, may I just be given the opportunity to make manifestation because my name was mentioned by Senator Lacson.
Of course you may.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I cannot speak for our colleagues why they hesitate or even refuse to sign the partial report he allegedly disseminated to the members. But as for myself, Mr. President, I cannot sign a partial report. A partial report is basically unfinished. An unfinished report cannot be assumed to have contained the final and collective judgment of all the members. This is very basic, Mr. President. Secondly, I did not heed my reasons why I cannot sign the partial report. I delivered a privileged speech some time ago, Mr. President, outlining the reasons, therefore. Number one, I was expecting the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee to have conducted several hearings more, and in those hearings, he should have invited several persons whom I enumerated in my privileged speech. Namely, Yusek Adrian Bersamin, Yusek Jojo Cadiz, former Governor Luis Chavez Singson, former Speaker Martin Romualdez, former Congressman Saldico by way of an apostilled sworn statement, because this is very, very possible. An apostilled sworn statement, Mr. President, as I have already advised the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee, is similar to a sworn statement notarized by the Philippine Consulate in any part of the world, because this apostilled manner or method of subscription was already adopted by the Supreme Court in one of its resolutions, Mr. President. I also advocated that the 18 ex-soldiers be immediately be invited because they have so much to say. Because I thought he said, and he emphasized at some point, that wherever the evidence is, the BRC will be led there too, Mr. President. Ang sabi pa po niya, Mr. President, hindi option yung interparliamentary courtesy. At kung ako po ba'y tatawagin pala sa mababang kapulungan dahil meron pala silang itatanong tungkol sa di umano ay mga donasyon na aking tinanggap. Mr. President, I will willingly present myself with or without invitation. They just have to suggest to me that they wanted me there. I will go there, Mr. President. Interparliamentary courtesy is between the two chambers, Mr. President. Tayo-tayo po ang pinag-uusapan na maggalangan doon. Pero ang nangyari, Mr. President, ang ating boss, ang mga amo natin, ang taong bayan, ang hindi na po iginalang eh. Hindi lang pangbabastos sa mga taong bayan ang ginawa ng mga magnanakaw at kawatan nitong flood control projects. Igagalang pa ba natin, Mr. President, ang mga tinutungo ng ebidensya na sangkot ang mga taong gusto nating ipatawag in this chamber? Gagamitin pa po bang isang dahilan na kailangan nating maggalangan kung sila mismo ay hindi na iginalang ang taong bayan na ngayon ay halos nagdurusa na? Tama po, sinabi niya kanina, Mr. President, talagang mainit ang panahon. Ang heat index ay talagang sumadsad na talaga sa pinakamainit na bahagi. Ngunit ang lalong nagpapainit nito, Mr. President, ay yung kawalan ng political will na ipagpatuloy ang pagdinig. Kahit na lantaran na nandun na talaga yung mga ebidensya. Bakit po hindi tayo tumawag ng pagdinig, Mr. President? Inimbita si Governor Luis Chavez Singson. Sa pagkakalam ko sa mga accounts na nababasa ko, he was invited to appear on April 14. At binigyan po siya ng pagkakataon hanggang April 7, hanggang alas 5 ng hapon na ihain ng kanyang sinumpaang salaysay. Hanggang alas 5 ng hapon, Mr. President. Ngunit 9:15 ng umaga, ipinaabot sa bahay ng dating gobernador na kinakansela na po ang nasabing pagdinig. At ginamit pang dahilan, paano po nangyari yun, Mr. President? Binigyan siya hanggang alas 5 ng Abril 7 na isubmit. Sa pagkakaalam ko po, nandun na siya sa Maynila at nanananghali. Pagkatapos na itutuloy siya sa opisina ni Senator Lacson para ihain yung sworn statement na kanyang inihanda. Bakit po kinakailangang dumating pa si Saldico? Inihintay siguro ni Saldico, Mr. President, ideklara lang ng chairman ng Blue Ribbon Committee, i-apostil mo lang yan kahit nasaan ka sa anumang bansa ka sa Europe, tatanggapin ng committee yan. At pagkatapos hahayaan ka namin sa pamagitan ng Zoom ay pumayag ka at iimbitehan ka namin para sa isang special na pagdinig kung yan ang gusto mo. Yun lang siguro gusto niyang marinig. Bakit ikukondisyon pa natin ang pagdating niya rito, Mr. President, kung yung apostille sworn statement is sufficient enough for him to do just that? Ano po ba tayo rito? Nagtatakip po ba talaga tayo? Mr. President, kayo po ay maaring makapagtestigo sa sasabihin ko. Nung isang araw po, pinuntahan ko kayo sa inyong opisina at binanggit po akong isang bagay na maaring makatulong sa atin kung paano kilalanin si Senator Lacson. Binanggit ko po sa inyo, Mr. President, ng buong katapatan nung ako'y wala pa po sa Kongreso, wala pa po sa public service, nakilala ko po si Senator Lacson bilang chief ng PNP. Nabanggit ko po sa inyo, Mr. President, sa ating pag-uusap sa inyong opisina. Mula noon, nung makita ko siya, lalong-lalo na po dun sa episode na pinatawag po niya, ang lahat ng kinaukulan na merong mga nakaw na sasakyan, mga karnap na sasakyan. Naalala ko po na sinabi niya, Mr. President, lahat ng mga ninakaw na sasakyan, dalhin nyo rito sa Camp Crame. No questions asked. Dahil palagi po akong dumadaan sa EDSA, Mr. President. Dahil opisina ko po sa Ortigas, nakita ko pong nakabunton lahat talaga ang mga ninakaw na sasakyan. Talaga pong hinangaan ko, Senator Lacson. Walang nakagawa nun sa aking palagay kung hindi siya lang. Di ba, Mr. President, sinabi ko pa sa'yo, sayang wala na ako yung aking kaibigan, yung dating mayor ng Marikina, Bayani Fernando. Dahil kinausap ko po siya. Sabi ko, Bayani, alam mo, yung ginagawa mo sa Marikina, gusto ko rin eh. At yung ginagawa ni Chief PNP, Ping Lacson, gusto ko din yun. Ayaw mo ba siyang kausapin na kayong dalawa tumakbo? Si Ping Lacson ang president, ikaw naman ang vice president. Kinuwento ko sa iyo yan, Sir President. Bakit ko po sinasabi ngayon ito, Ginoong Pangulo? Nung umpisa po talagang ganun na nakita ko po eh. Yung kanyang kagustuhan na maayos natin ang ating bansa. Yung sinasabi niyang track record, maring nung umpisa nandun po yun eh. Hindi ko ikukwento ito kung hindi talagang hinangaan ko siya. Noon. Pero bakit ngayon po ay nagkaiba, Mr. President? Parang yung pedestal na aking hinangaan, yung alamat na nandoon, unti-unting gumuho. Nalulungkot po ako at nangyari yun, Mr. President. Ang sabi ko pa nga eh, hindi ba tayo dapat maglaban-laban dito eh? Ang kapakanan ng mamamayan ng ating bansa, ang importante rito po eh. Yung direksyon natin. Bakit kailangan akong palaging pinapasaringan? Hindi naman po ang aking kagustuhan eh. Kung sino yung dapat na sumikat o sino yung dapat magpasikat, hindi po yun eh. Isa lang po ang sikat dito, Mr. President. Ang taong bayan na pinagsisilbihan nating lahat. Doon po natin ituon ang lahat ng ating makakaya, ang lahat ng ating energy. Malampasan sana natin ang problemang ito. Ngunit, yung hindi po pagganap sa tungkulin. Yun po yung hinahanap ng tao, Mr. President. Napakainit na po ng panahon talaga. Pinapag-iinit pa ng paghihintay nang hindi malaman hanggang kailan maghihintay ang taong bayan. Ano po ba ang dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon siya ng privilege speech ngayong hapon? Para saan? Para saan? Hindi po ba mas maganda na kumpletuhin natin yung report? Hindi partial. Ano yun? Partial final? O partial provisional? Paano ko po malalaman, Mr. President, kung hindi po ibinigay yung hard copy? Pipilitin akong basahin na nandun lamang sa online. Binigyan lamang kami ng isang file para doon kuhanin namin at kami mag-print. Paano ko ba ikukumpara po yung ipinrint ko? Hindi ko naman alam kung sinong gumawa nun dahil wala nga pong pirma yun eh. Doon lang sa paraan na yun eh. Nagkakaroon na po ng agam-agam eh. Pagkatapos ayaw pa nilang mag-interpolate. Nasa sa kanya po yun, Mr. President. Pero ako po, ang tanging hangarin ko lamang, ayusin natin lahat ito. Sabi nga po niya, hindi makakalimutan ng taong ito at talaga naman pong hindi malilimutan sapagkat ito na po yata ang pinakamalawak na nakawan sa kasaysayan ng ating bansa. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Senator Erwin Tulfo, you were raising your hand earlier. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, esteemed colleagues, I rise to explain my vote in signing the partial committee report of the Blue Ribbon Committee and why I did so with the express qualification with amendments. I have fixed my signature not as an endorsement of every conclusion contained therein, but as a recognition that the report is, at best, incomplete. It reflects portions of the truth but not its full measure. At the outset, Mr. President, let me be clear. I support accountability. I support the pursuit of justice wherever the evidence leads. But I cannot, in good conscience, agree with a recommendation that narrows the scope of further investigation to not only a handful of our colleagues in this chamber. Mr. President, the issue before us is not small. We are confronted with what may be one of the most staggering cases of misuse of public funds in our history. Funds intended for flood control, funds meant to protect lives, homes, and livelihoods. And yet, when the rain came, our people still suffered. The question is, where did the system fail and who must answer? Why then does the report appear to draw the line so narrowly? What happened to the more than a dozen contractors who were identified during the hearings? These are not incidental actors, Mr. President. They were recipients of public funds. They implemented or failed to implement these critical projects. If there were irregularities, if there was overpricing, substandard work, or ghost deliveries, surely accountability cannot stop at public officials alone. The private entities who benefited must be subjected to the same level of scrutiny. And what of our counterparts in the lower house? Names were mentioned. Allegations were raised. Certain individuals were tagged as proponents or facilitators of these projects. Yet, conspicuously, their names do not appear in the recommendation for further investigation. Why this omission? Mr. President, justice cannot be selective. We cannot choose whom to investigate based on convenience, proximity, or institutional boundaries. The Constitution does not recognize such distinction, and neither should we. There is a saying, Mr. President, the law should apply to all, otherwise to none at all. If we are to uphold the integrity of this institution, then we must ensure that our actions reflect this principle, not merely in words, but in substance. My amendments, therefore, are guided by a simple but fundamental premise that the investigation must be broadened to include all individuals, public officials, and private contractors alike, against whom credible evidence has been presented. No one should be prematurely excluded. No one should be shielded. This is not about casting a wider net for the sake of appearances. It is about ensuring that the process is fair, exhaustive, and credible. Anything less risks undermining public trust, not only in this report, but in our institution as a whole. Mr. President, our people are watching. They expect us to rise above partial truths and incomplete accountability. They expect us to pursue justice without fear or favor. Let us not allow this moment to pass as another instance where responsibility is diluted and accountability is deferred. Let us instead affirm that in this chamber, justice is neither selective nor negotiable. For this reason, Mr. President, I sign the report with amendments. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Erwin Tulfo. You have just shown your knowledge of parliamentary work. That is what I learned in 1992. You know, you're a member of the committee. You are being asked to sign. That is part of your work. You do not like the report. You write, I dissent, but you sign. You have you doubt the committee report. You say with reservations, but you sign. Or you want to have ask questions to the report or the chairman, you sign and you say to interpolate. That is what I learned from the statesmen of the 9th Congress. You know, yan ang mga turo nila, Neptali. Ayaw mo yung laman ng report? Pair member ka eh. Sabi ni Nep. Pirma mo. Eh di sabihin mo, I dissent. Pero pumirma ka. Because that is part of your parliamentary work. That's why I congratulate you, Senator Erwin Tulfo. You have knowledge of your parliamentary work. Thank you. Yes, Senator Jingo Estrada, you are recognized.